name is Miss Melissa, and I am a teaching artist in the PACE program. You might be watching this in your classroom, or you might be watching this at home. But no matter where you are, we are going to have fun today. Today we're going to be learning about communities. Did you know that there are 3 types of communities? We are going to explore this subject and create one of these communities today with a cool art project. Before we start, you may be wondering, what is a community? Do you know what that is? It's a group of people living in the same place. Very good. People share what's in their surroundings. We share businesses or buildings. What are some of the places that you may need to go to in your community? If you were thinking work, school, maybe a grocery store, or a doctor if you're sick, right? Now, what are some of the places that you may want to go to in your community? Maybe something for fun. Maybe you're thinking something like a park. That would be fun to go to. An ice cream stand, maybe a pet store, or a water park. Besides sharing these places and businesses in our community, we also need a place to live. And the type of community that you live in will determine where you live. So let's look at the 3 different types of communities together. So now, as you can see, there are 3 pictures that I'm showing you. These are the types of communities. I want you to look at all 3. And if you notice this right here where it says VS, that just means versus. Like you're comparing this one versus that one versus that one. You're just comparing, okay? So now I want to ask you, now that you're looking at these 3 and you can see the words, how are they different? How are these 2 different? Because they're very different. They're almost opposite of each other, right? This one's called a rural, say it with me, rural community. This one's called an urban community, right? And the rural one, you see the, very good, the countryside, and the urban, you see the city. Now that's like a really big city. Sometimes you go to a city and it's not that big, it's like a town. So that's how they're very different from each other, right? Now I want you to look at the community in the middle. What do you notice about the community in the middle? You see a lot of houses. Very good. That is where people live. So this is called, say it with me, suburban. Suburban community. And a suburban community pretty much has what? A lot of housing, a lot of neighborhoods. Now, people can live in a rural community and an urban community. You don't have to live in a suburban community. For example, when I was younger, I grew up in a rural community. We had like maybe 3 or 4 houses down the road, and I had a cow pasture across the fence with lots of cows and blackberry bushes, and then I also grew up on the other side of me. There was just tons of fields of grass. So I grew up in the country. And then now I moved into a neighborhood and I live in a suburban area. What type of community do you think you live in? I don't know where you live, but today, guess what? We are going to pretend that we live in a suburban community. Let's go ahead and make our neighborhood together. We're going to create a bunch of houses. So if you live in a rural or an urban, we're going to just pretend. Can y'all do that with me today? We're going to pretend that we live here and we're going to have lots of neighbors. And since we're going to do this, we are going to need to learn about shapes. Why do you think we need to learn about shapes? if you were thinking, because we need to make houses, and what shape are houses in? Well, they could be what, squares or rectangles, right? And what, shape do you normally see on a roof? A triangle. Very good. So we're going to look at these shapes together. So now we are going to look at these two types of lines so we can understand how to make shapes. If you've been working with me so far, you'll know that we have been talking about lines for a while, and if you haven't, that's okay. So this type of line is a curvy. This curvy line makes what? These two shapes. Very good. And here we have a circle and an oval. Now we're going to move on to the straight line. Now the straight line makes three different shapes, and here we have the square, the rectangle, and the triangle. If you can see, the straight line is used to make all of the sides of these shapes. The square and the rectangle have how many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. The square has equal sides, and the rectangle has what? 2 long and 2 short. Very good. And look at the triangle. How many sides does the triangle have? 3. Now, if you could guess, out of all of these shapes, which ones do you think we are going to need to make a suburban community with lots of houses? Very good. We are going to need the square, the rectangle, and the triangle to make our houses. So let me show you the supplies that you're going to need. You're going to need 4 sheets of construction paper, any color you want, okay? So I just chose, look, 4 colors. 4 sheets of construction paper. They all have to be a different color. So everyone's going to choose that. You each have to have 4 sheets of construction paper. You're also going to need a pair of scissors and a glue stick or a bottle of glue, okay? And your box of crayons. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video, get your supplies, and I will be here when you get back so we can get started. All right, now that you have your supplies, we can start creating our suburban community. What I want you to do is pretend that you are going to design your own house, and you get to design what all the other neighbors' houses look like in the neighborhood. So first thing we're going to do is get our colors ready. Let me move all this out the way. All right, so you have your 4 papers, okay? And guess what? You're just going to follow me. You're going to copy off of me, and then once we get all the stuff that you need, then you can kind of be real creative with, where you put everything. So here's your 4 papers, all right? I want you to choose 1 for your background, and you're going to use 3 for the houses. So let me show you. So here I have what? Orange. Orange could be the background. It's going to be the sky color, right? Your background paper is what everything's going to go on top of. So this is my background paper, right? It can be the sky or the ground. We don't usually see like orange grass or orange dirt, right? So it's going to be the sky. What other, let's try this. What other colored papers could you have for a sky? Could you have purple? Some of y'all are probably thinking, no, but think about it. Whenever it gets real stormy, there's always like a purplish kind of color, right? So that could be the sky. Why not? What about blue? Blue could be the sky. It could also be the water, right? The ground. You could have green for the ground. The green could represent the grass, right? What would a brown paper represent? Dirt. Blue could represent water, right? What about red or pink? That could be the sunset sky, right? Just like if you have an orange, these could be sunset sky colors, huh? What if you had black? That'd be nighttime. So it doesn't matter. You could have any color paper you want and it will make sense. Look, I'm going to show you one that I already finished. Check this out. Look at that. I have a green paper. So basically everything up here is going to be fields of grass, huh? You see? I made my houses out of shapes. What shapes do you see? Very good. Rectangles, right? My windows, some of them look like what shape? Squares. The doors are very good. Rectangles. And then what shape are the roofs? Very good. Triangle. So we're going to do this together today. And if you have room, you can, make some room. And we're only going to have 3 houses. We're going to show part of a suburban community. You can draw a tree or some flowers, right? Because a lot of neighborhoods have plants, whether it's trees or grass and flowers. All right, so I just wanted to show you that. Now let's make ours. Choose your background paper. I'm going to go with my sunset orange. So these are going to be my colors for my doors, windows, my house, and the roof. Got it? Follow me. All right, stack up your 3 papers. Stack them up. So now they're all even. We are not, and I repeat, not going to make a big gigantic hot dog, right? I want you to make books all day. We're going to fold our papers 3 times to get the shape for our houses. So fold it, make a book. The corners touch, the sides touch, make a crease. And we can fold them all at the same time. Okay? Now, you're going to open it up, and we're going to cut 1 at a time. It's really hard to cut 3 at a time, especially 3 big papers. All right, so remember, scissors. Your thumb goes in the small hole. Your fingers go in the bigger hole. And you have to chomp. Pretend it's an alligator. And alligators like to open their mouths really wide. And they eat their food, and the strongest part of their mouth is in the back, their jaw, right? So the food's going to go way back there. So if you want to think of it like that, even though it's just paper, but look, the paper always goes in the back. I always think of scissors as an alligator's mouth. I don't know why, I just do. All right, so I'm going to open wide. I'll go slower so you can see. Close. I'm going to go in slow motion. Open and close. And when you get better at it, you see, and as I cut, I just naturally slide the paper in the back. Like that. Alright, so I have blue, red. Now remember, leave your foundation, your background paper, sky or ground, whatever you want to call it. Leave it alone. Don't cut that one. We are just cutting the papers that we folded. And there should be 3 different colors. Okay, so if you're not finished cutting, keep cutting. So I have 3 halves on this side, and then I have 3 halves on this side. Guess what? We need one set, we don't need the other. Take these, stack them up, put them aside on the table or stick them in your desk. Now we just need these. You're going to stack these up. Okay? Now guess what? As you're finished cutting, if you're not, keep on cutting. I'll explain the next part. We are not going to make a what? A hot dog. What are we making today? Very good. We're making books. Let's make our second book. This is a medium-sized book, right? We're making our second book. So once you stack them all up, you're going to fold the paper in half. Make the corners touch and the sides and press. Just like that, just like we did. And you should have put all 3 together, and then what? What now? Very good. You open it up, and we're going to cut them in half. The same thing on this line. We're just getting smaller and smaller. If you notice that, huh? Our rectangle is going to get smaller and smaller. And this is our second time we folded. Once we're done with this, then we can really have some fun designing a neighborhood. Okay, I mean, you might want pink houses and purple houses. Why not, huh? All right, so as you finish cutting, you'll see, what do I have? 2 piles again. These are my medium papers, right? So we are going to need both of these. But this right here, this is going to be my scraps. Basically, I'm going to use this as scrap paper. We're going to use the big ones to cut like some straight lines for doors and windows. I'll show you that later. So put that aside. We don't need to fold this anymore. We're going to use this just like it is. All right? So put that aside, but we're going to need it. So, you know, keep it next to you. Don't put it away. Just put it aside. Now, this stack, the other half, we're going to fold this in half for our third time to make a mini book. All right? We're not making a what? Very good. Not making a hot dog. We're making a mini book. All right, so stack it and make the sides and corners touch as best you can. Press, make a crease, and there you have it. Now we're going to cut these. Now, smaller paper I find easier to cut together. So I'll cut one by itself, okay, and I'll show you. All right, so 2 piles. Now, I'm going to put these 2 together. You can put 2 together if you want. Some of you know how to do this already. You see? I just cut it at the same time. So now, no more folding. Great job. That was our last time. So guess what? This is going to be our rectangular shaped houses. We have 3 rectangular shaped houses. You know what this is going to be? Our roofs. And we need to make what shape for a roof? Very good. Triangles. Okay, so watch me. I need everybody to watch, not just half the class. All right, so I am going to just cut. Look, I drew it with my nail. I'm just going to cut a diagonal line from one corner to the other. Doesn't matter which way you do it. So one stack you're going to leave alone for your rectangular shaped house. This stack we are going to cut. And you can put them all. I'm going to hold all of mine together. You can do it. And if not, do one at a time. That's fine. Guess what? I don't need this. You can put that aside. Now I have triangles. Now I have the roof. See that? Well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and do this together. This big old stack, we need what? We need windows and doors. So you can hold them together or you can cut one at a time. I tell you what, I'll show you with one. You can go either way. You can cut basically a straight line will give you one side of a rectangle. We're just making some rectangular shaped strips. And I might need it a good bit, so I'm going to go the long way. And I'm done with this. I don't need this anymore. So I have one long strip. Now, if you want to put these 2 together, you can. See, I'm holding them together. And do the same thing. You're getting really good at cutting. And that's pretty much almost it. So now, check it out. I have 3 rectangular shaped strips. I don't need anything else. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to stack them up. You can do it now. You can do this. And if you look at the end and put the scissors right here, doesn't that seem like it's about a square? Most houses have like 2 windows facing the front. You can have square shaped windows. You can have rectangular shaped windows. This would be a great door. So I have some windows. I have my door. And if you ever need to, cut any more, you can pull, you have your scrap paper. So let's check. Ready? You should have 3 houses. Our big rectangle shapes are going to be our houses. 3 roofs, triangular shaped roofs. 3 doors. And a bunch of windows. And you can always cut more if you need. All right, now we can start placing and gluing. Great job. All right, what I want you to do, we're going to start gluing, but I want you to watch first. Watch what I'm going to do, okay? So we have 3 houses. You could have 3 tall houses together where they touch, kind of overlap, because maybe, you're looking from far away. Maybe you'll have a lot of space and you can make a big tree, or you can put a big tree over here. Make sure you put your scissors down and your papers, please, because I really need everybody to watch this. Okay, so think about that. You could have it like this, right? Now what happens and it fits. You have plenty of room to put a tree if you have all your houses. What if you put it going this way? What's happening? Are my houses gonna fit? No. Okay, so let's turn one. I could have a tall house and 2 short ones. Will that fit? Yes, but you're not gonna have really a whole. You can't fit a tree. You may have a little bit of grass, huh? So you might have to turn like this, and then you could fit it. That's what I did. See, let me show you my old picture. I have 2 tall and 1 short, and I was able to fit a tree. And you don't have to put a tree. You could spread it out like that and just have grass and flowers in between. Okay? All right, so figure out how you want to set up your house. Once you do that, start gluing. Let's start gluing. I kind of like the way it looked when it overlapped, but I might just leave a little bit like that. I don't know. Start gluing. So you can turn your paper over, open your glue stick, get the cap off. When I glue, you don't want a lot like that. You don't want a lot of the glue to stick out. Just a little bit, or it's just going to come off. Now, if you have a bottle of glue, you're going to open the orange cap, twist it open, and squeeze gently. And you just need dots. So like if I had a bottle of glue, you would put a dot on each corner. That's it. And you would squeeze very soft. But we're going to use glue sticks. If you have them, I prefer you to use those. So yeah, I'm going to put 2 long, and design your houses the way you want. Maybe some of you are going to put all of your houses running into each other, touching each other, right? The edges may touch. And that will look cool, and you'll have lots of room. It just depends. Depends what you want, what you think looks good. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to put a little space. Now, do I have enough room for a tree? Probably not, and that's okay. If you want to put a tree, you're going to have to make more room and turn your houses, all going up, or put them closer together. Now, let's switch the colors out. So that can go there. I like that. Now notice what's happening. You notice that? The triangles are too big. So I'm just going to trim the edge. And I know that's too big, so I could cut this off. See? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's close enough. See? And that one will fit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue. I could even turn it this way. Look, yep, I like that. I am going to glue the roof. So yeah, as soon as you're done gluing your rectangles down, you want to glue your triangles right on top. I think I'm going to use some of my scrap pieces and make a chimney. Yeah, the glue stick doesn't take long. I like using glue sticks because you could smear it all over the sides. And if anything is sticking out, if any paper is sticking out, you can always trim it like this. See? All right. So keep working on gluing your houses down and your roofs, and then what's going to go on top? Yep, your doors. We can mix it up. You can have them match or not match. I think it would be fun to live in a neighborhood with red, purple, and blue houses. What do you think? I bet you some of you have pink houses, huh? I bet. Maybe even some green houses and yellow houses. We're going to have a colorful, fun neighborhood. All right. Notice, doors. The shape of doors are pretty much all the same. They're all rectangular shapes, and it goes up and down. Now you can add your windows. I'm just going to keep it simple and put some squares, but maybe you'll have rectangles. Now, whatever you do, please, I'm going to show you a wrong way. Don't do this. Watch. If you have a little square and you want, some rectangles, I think that's a little bit too small, right? You don't want to have, 25 or 50 rectangles. That's going to take forever. If you're gonna, I think this is the smallest you can go. All right, maybe cut that in half. So just keep in mind, you don't want these, tiny little pieces like that everywhere. Okay. All right. So you can have more than 2 windows. We just don't want it to be super tiny because you'll lose them and they'll fall on the floor, and you might not even have time to glue them all. So I think some squares and rectangles would be fine. All right, so keep gluing. My windows and doors match. I didn't even plan that. I'm gluing them. I bet your pictures are coming out pretty neat. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and use some scrap paper to make a chimney, because that can go on a house, huh? Does anyone have a chimney? Some of you probably have chimneys. I think I like the blue. So look, I'm just going to cut. You can actually tuck it underneath, but you notice how it makes a slant right there? Just going to cut at an angle. Kind of made the indentation with my scissors. See that? Just cut a little piece. You can put 1 chimney or 2, however you want to do it. All right, now if you want to just take a look real quick, I'm going to take my crayons and I'm going to just color up and down, make some grass. And I didn't want to put a tree because I made a tree last time, so I'm just going to put a couple of flowers. Different colors. And maybe what I can do is make some window panes, with straight lines, which is kind of nice because, we pretty much used straight lines all day because straight lines make up all of these shapes. So I'm adding some window panes, and I'm going to put some doorknobs. And I might put a little smoke coming from the chimney very lightly. I like that. And that's it. I am finished. Now I have a really cool suburban neighborhood. I like it. I hope you had fun today. And if you're in class and it's time to go, you can always finish this at home. You can add to it. But now you know how to make a suburban community with basic shapes and crayons. Oh, and one more thing. Since we used paper and we used crayons, do you know what this is called? Almost forgot to tell you. Well, a lot of times when you use crayons, it's a drawing, right? And a lot of times when you use paper, It's called a collage. But since we mixed it up, guess what it's called? Mixed media. Say that with me. Very good. Mixed media. When you mix up materials like crayons and paper or paint and paper, it's called mixed media. So that is the type of art that you made today. I'm so glad I remembered to tell you that. Thanks for joining me today. We learned about so many things. We learned what communities mean. We learned about the 3 types of communities. Do you remember what type of community that we made together today? Very good. It's called a suburban community. And you even learned how to use your imagination to create your neighborhood out of shapes and the desired colors that you wanted. As you go through your week, maybe you will notice the surroundings in your community. Really pay attention to the types of housing where you live. Notice the shapes of the buildings, the colors, even the plant life, like trees and flowers, if there are any. Can you tell which community you live in just by the surroundings? All communities are important. I'm so glad that you were able to make a suburban community with me today. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you next time.